Now, the ongoing wrangles between President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto are not new, if history is anything to go by. The second most powerful position in the land has always been jinxed, marred with failed friendships and backstabbing. Now, what does history say, and what are the options for the two most powerful figures in Kenya? KTN's Emmanuel Toh reports.
Should be prepared to sacrifice their time to help the president in his efforts of national development.
From the first Vice President Jaramogi Oginga Odinga to the current 11th Principal Assistant of the President, William Ruto, a lot has changed. However, one thing has remained constant: strained relations between the head of state and his assistant. Despite the decades of changes in terms of the leadership styles brought about by a new constitution, the two have been on cross purposes and involved in unending shadow boxing and proxy wars that have now graduated to bare knuckle attacks.
The honorable thing that leaders do is to say, I disagree with the policies of this government, and therefore I wish to disassociate myself from them, and you tender your resignation.
I have no space to retreat, and I don't have the luxury to surrender.
Harambe!
But as they say, history repeats itself. The only difference has been how the respective principal assistants handled their predicaments. Some chose to stick to their guns, while others, like Kenya's first Vice President Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, decided to surrender. In a letter dated 14th April 1966, Oginga Odinga lamented, quote, "You have not given any consideration to me as your number two in state matters. I have a conscience, and this, in fact, does prick me when I earn public money, but with no job to do. I consider this a waste of public money, and I am worried lest the future generation questions my sincerity when they would learn that I allowed myself to hold a sincere post in the midst of poverty and misery in our country. With this realization, I cannot continue to hold this position any longer, and I hereby tender my resignation." End of quote. Joseph Murumbi quickly filled Jaramogi's position, Kenya's second vice president. He would resign 6 months later. The third VP, retired President Daniel Arap Moi, took over the reins, which had a share of its own mistreatments from the Mount Kenya mafia, who did all they could to block his ascendancy to power. The next one, VP Mwai Kibaki, who served for 10 years, was however shown the door by being demoted to a mere cabinet minister. Kibaki was replaced by Professor Josephat Karanja, who was unceremoniously bundled out of the office over kneel before me allegations. Next on line was Professor George Saitoti, who was sacked on August 30th, 2002, a few months to the 2002 general election. The professor of mathematics will not handle the math of being the second in command.
Ruto cannot just leave because Uhuru has said. He's protected by the Constitution, and Uhuru has only one legal option, which is a vote of no confidence. While he can achieve the numbers, do that, it won't be politically wise. For Ruto, he will have to stay. Ruto is going to leave. He will leave. But he will leave at a time he gets maximum political capital out of it.
How he leaves office means that he will show or portray that he respects the office that he has been occupying, he respects the presidency, and he respects the constitution and public institutions for that matter.
Emmanuel Toh, KTN News, Nairobi.